Wow, Sinatra. Sinatra.
What up, y'all? Thinking about today's culture, how today's culture is so selfish. Today's culture is so selfish and not selfless. The culture of this day and age, it upholds values that are the exact opposite of the values that the letters of Paul, our big brother, advocate. Listen, the culture that we live in today, right now, this culture upholds values that emphasize our own selves rather than others, is a selfish culture versus selfless culture, resulting in the emphasis of self-ambition that can rear its ugly head. What does Paul write to us about this? Paul teaches us in Philippians second chapter, the 3rd verse. He says, listen, do nothing with self-ambition or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. In other words, don't be selfish, be selfless. So what's the problem with self-ambition, John? You're probably saying to yourself, I'm an ambitious person, so what you're trying to say, there's something wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with being ambitious, but self-ambition starts with pride of self. And self can often and always sometimes be your worst enemy. On one occasion, Paul warned young Timothy to guard himself from himself. The trouble with self-ambition is that it tends to trample and step upon the rights and precedence of other people. Listen, I'm not saying that there's something wrong with ambition. What I'm saying is that selfish ambition runs roughshod over others. The selfishly ambitious person tries to take the shortcut, the short route to the top by stepping over other people and stepping over those above them. Sometimes they go over their head and step on people over their head. Always and often trying to exclude and demean people on their own level that they perceive as threats to rise to the top ranks. And sometimes they try to block those beneath them from promotion from fear of creating a rival. In other words, if you look like you could do a better job, you're a threat to them. Listen, the motivating factor of selfishly ambitious people is vain conceit. The motivating factor of a selfishly ambitious person is pride. They cannot imagine that anyone else is more deserving of promotion than they are. They can never think of the worth and value of other people. They never think that another person could be more significant than they are. Listen, the Bible teaches us through the writings of Paul that we should have the opposite attitude. Instead of being selfless and having selfish ambition, we should be more humble. We should count others more significant than ourselves. Our motivating factor should always be humility, not conceit, not pride, not selfishness. And as Paul goes on to say in verses 6 and 7 of Philippians chapter 2, he says that our example should be Jesus, who though he was in the form of God, did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped, but emptied himself by taking the form of a servant. Listen, understand that humble people do not worry. We don't worry about our own interests because we know that God has his best interests at heart, has our best interests at heart. He's going to take care of us. Humble people know when they are ready for promotion because God can do it and nothing can prevent it from doing it. We live by faith, and I mean nothing could prevent that from happening. Here's another scripture of how Jesus is our example. Paul says in Philippians 2:9, Jesus was more concerned with us than himself. God has highly exalted him and bestowed on him the name above every name. So, I have a challenge for you. What's the challenge for today, John? What are you saying? What are you daring me to do? What are you challenging me to do? Today, I want you to let humility rule the day. Trust in God and begin to appreciate the significance of everybody around you. Don't be selfish. Do not lean on selfish ambition. Get self out of the way so that you can be filled with God. Listen, because God doesn't intertwine with filth and crap. And because self is ours and our nature is sinful and our self needs to be put under subjection to God and his authority, if you're full of yourself and self governs you, then it's time for a spiritual laxative. So what I'm trying to say is that you're full of crap. And if you're selfish, then it's time for a spiritual laxative, and you need to stop being full of crap and full of God so that you can be selfless. and caring to everybody else around you. And that's the word. God bless you.